Hey everybody on YouTube, Carl Alexander here, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a quick look at New World Interactive's new game, Day of Infamy. Released to Steam Early Access in 2016, Day of Infamy was created as a sort of spiritual sequel to the classic Valve title Day of Defeat. It'll be coming out of Early Access in a few weeks, and I've been playing since December, so I thought it would be a good time to share my thoughts on this new title. So first off, just like Insurgency, Day of Infamy uses a Source engine from Valve. As I've stated before, Source is a very solid, fluid engine, even if it lacks all the bells and whistles of something like Unreal. So if you're looking for a game with AAA quality graphics, this is not what you're looking for. Overall, the visuals are very clean, and definitely a step up from Insurgency. Textures are higher quality, but have some major variations in clarity, which probably stems from differing texture resolutions. The human models themselves are well done, though the eyes give off an incredibly creepy vibe. Though you could also argue that adds to the realism. New to the game is the ability to render body parts exploding alongside more detailed blood. This offers a very intense visual element to the action. Seeing your friends explode around you has made for some of the most stressful and exciting FPS experiences I've ever had. The detail may not match the likes of Call of Duty, but the sharpness of the image really showcases the terror around you, and the buttery smooth frame rate on my 7600K would do excellent if you had a high refresh monitor. Moving on to the gameplay, Day of Infamy features a few of the major world powers involved in World War II's European theater, and has different campaigns to fit each. American, British, and German armies are the three major groups, and each features surprisingly varied weapons. The British Army is represented by the entire Commonwealth, including Canadian and Scottish troops, as well as ones from England itself. Russia, Japan, and many smaller countries are not represented, but the inclusion of at least 3 factions, compared to most games too, was a nice touch. Now, I haven't found an official statement from the developers, but I've seen many mentions of the possibility of adding more factions down the line. I should make it clear that I've almost exclusively played the co-op portion of Day of Infamy. One of the main reasons I really appreciate New World Interactive is its robust cooperative modes. Most games are focused purely on competitive multiplayer, and I find the teamwork element of co-op more fun than the average online FPS. However, if you're into multiplayer, this game has some great 32-player action, with the same great mechanics and maps, just some slightly different modes. Co-op features, as far as I can tell, 3 main modes that generally have an 8-person maximum versus AI bots. To make the game work as a World War II game, your team also has a team of bots that will fight with you. They generally end up just being cannon fodder, but sometimes help out and do add to the immersion. The modes in co-op consist of Stronghold, a checkpoint-based offensive mode where you must capture or destroy certain structures in a mostly linear order. What's nice about Stronghold in comparison to other checkpoint-based modes is the availability to choose between 2 objectives at a time. So if one objective makes more sense to your team, you can do B instead of A, for example. After each captured point, a respawn will occur, and can only occur after a checkpoint is taken. The objectives in Stronghold are very standard, including simply occupying a building for a certain amount of time, destroying a piece of enemy artillery, and killing a particular enemy officer, for example. Entrenchment is just the opposing side of Stronghold. You must defend your base down to its last checkpoint for 10 minutes or until your entire team is defeated. After a certain amount of your team dies, you are able to retreat to respawn the group. However, you can only do this a certain amount of times until you have to make a final stand with no respawning. And the last mode is Raid. This is an offensive mode that features checkpoints that are not clearly marked on your map. You must discover them by progressing through the level. Otherwise, it works the same as Stronghold. Raid is generally a slower paced mode with fewer bots, where careful strategy is more important. Day of Infamy is class based, with each having pros and cons. Each class can be customized and configured in the character menu. You start with a default layout that you can change in exchange for points. You earn supply points throughout the mission to add things like sidearms or secondary explosives to your loadout. The system is very similar to their previous game Insurgency, and is a great way to have a structured class-based system, but offer up a bit of wiggle room to fit each person or team's playstyle. However, the class system can be both good and bad. Many times people will not want to load out as some of the more boring classes like Engineer, who have TNT explosives that are many times essential in completing a mission.
I would contribute to the team and be an engineer, but fuck that.
It's a very common problem to see the living members of a team wandering around the map looking for explosives on dead bodies, because they can't progress without them. Also, there's an officer class who, when paired with a radio man, can call in airstrikes. Again, this can be great if the people understand their roles, but many times people call in airstrikes on their own teammates. If you get into a server where everyone seems to understand their roles, then usually it goes quite well. However, if you get into a server where radio men feel the need to act like Rambo and officers don't call out their airstrikes, things don't go well. The interface and GUI are in line with the minimalism from Insurgency and are certainly somewhat unique to the genre. There is no indicator for how many rounds you have left besides how many magazines you have in total. It's hard for me to give a definitive review of the user interface as they've been changing it constantly. The newest patch delivered a big overhaul and with it many improvements. A nice addition is now the ability to track certain statistics like your kill-death ratio, win ratio, and other general stats. The game also features a simple leveling system that unlocks new uniforms in the form of different divisions of each of the separate armies. The most glaring issue with Day of Infamy is the same one from Insurgency. The bot AI is a bit janky. They tend to have slow reaction times on lower difficulties and insanely fast reaction times on higher difficulties. However, that's not to say the code hasn't been improved. Bots are now more intelligent about where they set up to attack or defend, and are better at following you into a location after you've been spotted, even going as far as trying to sneak up behind you. The friendly bots are somewhat helpful, but can make frustratingly stupid moves that get themselves killed. Overall, the bots present a very good challenge. It's just at times they can still act like, well, bots, which can be funny, but usually is just frustrating. Though the game seems to have a decent selection of maps, some have become community favorites, making the game a bit repetitive at times. Some servers don't offer a community vote and use a rotation, which is a nice feature that I wish more servers used. There have also been a variety of bugs during the early access period, and while they are annoying with things like entire maps being bugged out, the developers are patching fast and nothing seems to stay broken for very long. But even with its flaws, the gameplay is challenging and fun. Though the game is brutal in its difficulty, it rarely seems unfair. The game rewards caution and understanding of your chosen class. With usually 400 people or so online at any given time, the population is low, but has a higher average skill level than most games. It's one of the few I've seen that has such a low population of trolls. Servers tend to have somewhat strict rules on in-game chat language, so for the most part, people tend to be very pleasant. Day of Infamy has been my favorite game for the last several months. It has its quirks and shortcomings like janky AI, but when you get a group of people who can work together as a team, the experience is some of the best out there. You will die a lot, and you will lose more than you win, but just like their previous games, this creates a real feeling of accomplishment once you've conquered a level. The disappointment of losing only makes me want to get better, and very rarely did I feel quote-unquote cheated by the game. If you're looking for that classic World War II FPS experience, or just a very challenging and fun co-op and multiplayer game, then this is a great option. At the current price of $20, and even less if you already own Insurgency, Day of Infamy has a lot of bang for your buck. If you've been looking at buying this game, don't hesitate. With updates constantly streaming in and the official launch date coming on the 23rd, it can only get better. Okay everybody, that was my video for this week. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, I think you know what to do. Leave me a comment in the comments section. And as always, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. Coming up soon, I'll have another video on something. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be. Horizon Zero Dawn is certainly going to take me a few weeks to get through, but I'll have another video coming next week. I hope you stick around for that one, and I'll see you then.